T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Kush's Corner here on the Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. Tonight, I have the pleasure of being joined by Jared Carmichael. We are going to get into a lot of topics, primarily that of Gonyosoma breeding. Jared is having a hell of a year breeding red-tailed green rat snakes. We're going to get deep into that conversation, hit some other species as well. But before we get into the episode, as always, USARC. So USARC is the organization that is fighting for our rights to keep our reptiles, to run our reptile businesses, to live this lifestyle. Check out usarc.org for all of the information you need to know about the organization, and also to keep tabs on new legislation that is being introduced either on local or national levels. And if you are not already a USARC member, please look into becoming a member. As a community, we have strength in numbers, and when fighting for the rights that we want for our collections, for keeping our animals, for living how we want to with our collections, that is very important for us to have strength in numbers. So usarc.org, once again, for everything you need to know about USARC. All right, everybody, thank you for being here tonight. Definitely have a good one in store. If you are here on YouTube watching, please subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. A new podcast drops every single day of the week here on the channel from some of the best hosts in the game, talking about a wide variety of topics in the reptile world. So if you are a fan of reptile-related audio content, you have found the right place. We are on the audio streaming platforms as well, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. A follow and a 5-star review on those platforms would be most appreciated. With all that said, let's get Jared onto the show. Good evening, man. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Thank you for joining me tonight. So for everybody out there who may or may not be familiar with you, kind of take us through a little bit of your history and how the reptiles have been a part of your life, where you started, how you got to where you are now.
All right. For as long as I can remember, I've liked snakes and frogs and lizards, probably stemming from Jurassic Park and just catching them when I was a kid. But the thing that stands out most to me is my mother used to take me to like a pond, just something to get me and my brother out of the house. And, we had some nets. We'd catch bullfrogs, turtles, little catfish. We'd take them home, let them live in like a little plastic pool for the weekend, and then, bring them back before Monday and do it again the next weekend. And that's what got me like interested in like the herps. In middle school, I did a herp club. There was a guy who came in after school, and he'd bring tarantulas, alligators, all kinds of cool stuff, and
Nice.
That was cool. But most of my childhood, I wasn't allowed to keep snakes. I could keep garter snakes outside, but nothing in the house.
Yeah.
My mom did let me have an anole at one point, which was kind of cool. But late high school, I got a ball python and then some boa constrictors, and that after a little while I kind of got out of it. And then I got my first place, and I got a carpet python, which led to a couple more carpet pythons. Then I bought a house, and then got out of hand quick.
Yep. Floodgates open up, huh?
Yeah.
So what drew you to colubrids?
Honestly, I was really into boas.
Okay.
And there's a kid that lives down the street from me. People from Massachusetts certainly know him. His name's Frank Morrissey. He's huge into colubrids. So we linked up a few years ago, and he just sent me home with like a bunch of stuff. I went over there. He's like, "Oh, this is a fox snake." I was like, "That's like a black rat snake." He's like, no, it's cool. He showed me like the adult and had the cool orange head, and I was like, "Oh wow, this is crazy."
Yeah.
He sent me home with that, and a handful of other things, and then right before COVID, or right when like COVID broke loose, I always kind of was interested in the red-tailed green rat snakes, and I was on Craigslist, and there was some guy who was getting rid of a trio of red-tailed green rat snakes.
Okay.
So I met up with him. He gave them to me in these like 20-gallon breeders, like duct tape shut.
Jeez. Okay.
One of them like ended up getting out in my car. I never found it. The other two are males, one of which I still have to this day.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, got out in my car, crawled in somewhere, died. That car like literally smelled for years. Like it would go away. Hot summer day would come out, the car would stink.
Jeez.
But so I had those males, and then I would see them pop up on MORPH Market or King Snake, and I grab a couple. They would trickle out and die.
Yeah.
I started have a little success with them, and then one thing led to another, and now I have about a dozen of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
man, that's awesome. Yeah, there are species that I've always been really interested in, but kind of like how most people have experienced, I was always a little bit nervous considering the reputation they have as imports of being really difficult to establish.
I really think the biggest thing with that is like, I'm not like trying to bash them, but like they're considered like a trash animal, right? Like I feel like most of these importers aren't trying to bring them in, right? Like it's, oh, you want the good stuff? You got to take a couple of these too.
Sure.
So I don't know. I feel like people have not better success than Jance and I, but like I feel like people not so much breeding them, but like longevity, like keeping them alive, because like they're taking better care of because they're like a higher dollar animal. Like
sure,
they're getting $20 for it at the importer. They're not gonna take care of it the same way they're gonna take care of them. That's like a higher dollar animal.
Sure. No, I mean that's an unfortunate truth about what we do. That you hate to think about it that way, but absolutely, like you're right. These people who are getting those animals, fresh off the shipment, that you want to get those snakes as soon as you can, because the longer it sits there, the worse off that the animal becomes.
I also feel like they're like really high strung. Like even like you keep spilotes, right? I mean, I don't care what you say. They don't want to be held. Even if like they
want to come out, that's for sure. Yeah.
Tolerate it. Like, I try not to hold any of like my wild caught stuff.
Yeah.
It's here for a purpose. I leave it alone.
Sure.
I feel like every like time you like take it out and you're messing with it, you're just putting unneeded stress on the animal.
Yeah, especially early on, like the first couple of years that animal's out of the wild, every interaction like that, like, yeah, you're right. It just knocks that animal down a few steps as to where you had,
I also feel like everyone just like blasts them with meds, and I've kind of gotten away from blasting them with the meds when they come in, and I've had much better success. I did last year grab a pretty big group, and I did want to experiment a little, so I probably grabbed like 6 last year, and I did shotgun 2 with meds, and they did fine, and all the other ones also did fine. So again, I really think it's mostly like, not that they're getting popular, but like people are asking for them.
Sure.
So they're taking better care of them because there's a demand.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that definitely makes sense. Before we go really deep into the Gonyosoma talk, I want to take it back a couple steps. What is your collection in its entirety looking like these days? What kind of numbers and species are you working with?
So I've got I probably have 12 or 14 adult oxys.
Wow. Okay.
I got a pair of tiger rats. I got a pair of mandarin rats. I've got a couple different types of bamboo rats. I've got some Dominican red mountain boas.
Okay.
We got a pair of Amazon tree boas, some rhino rat snakes, some Prasinum.
Okay.
Some boa constrictors, more than I should have. I need to, I'm trying to like really like focus and wean some stuff out and
sure
try to be a little more specialized.
Would like more specialized like colubrids in general, or even like Asian colubrids?
No, like I really want to focus on the oxys, and then
yeah, sure.
I have some like I have a Russian rat snake, but like it's more like this is like a pet snake that I can hand to kids. Like I'm not handing oxys over like my kids when they come down there. Like
not in a snake context. That sounds great.
I have rhino rat snakes. Those are cool. I'm definitely going to hang on to those.
Yeah.
But I want to move the boa constrictors. Now that I've like kept the colubrids in like the bigger cages, like, I don't know. I just like, don't want to keep a bunch of boa constrictors in, 1 foot tall cages. I'd rather like, give them more space, Yeah,
no, absolutely. Especially with colubrids. Once you see them in bigger display enclosures, it's really hard to kind of go backwards. Like with my Spilotes having them in big displays, I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's like walking into my dining room and I'm like, they're all out looking at me and stuff. It's so cool.
Well, I don't know. Like, the boa constrictors almost like bum me out. I'm like, I don't know. Like this thing should be in like an enormous enclosure with trees and big water features. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Colubrids have kind of like changed my like vision of keeping. I just feel like we could all do better.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's and the thing is there's so much conversation about that these days.
Yeah.
And a lot of information, especially for newer keepers, on how to like keep more naturalistically successful. Go back 15 years. People will tell you, you keep this thing in too big of a cage, you're gonna kill it, it's gonna stop eating, no matter what the species is. And now we know that if you do it completely wrong, yeah, sure, you can keep a snake wrong in a tub as well. But there's so much good information out these days about how to do that kind of stuff successfully.
A few months ago, I went to Mexico and I saw like a giant parrot snake out in the wild, and it was like, it was so cool. It was like digging through like this bush, and it climbed up in this palm tree, and it's like literally looking in between every one of like the little folds, like the palm folds, and it like found like dug out a frog in one of these folds. So cool. I don't know, it was just so cool. It's just like, you'd never see that in a cage. Like it just was like, oh, this thing's like intelligent, and it's like searching around, and like things hide in here. I don't know, it was just really cool. And also kind of like depressing, because I was like, you can't do this in captivity, really.
No, very, very true. But then then there's always that the other end of that argument of like, for that snake, would it rather be handed a nice juicy mouse, or have to like go search search for that little frog? And but no, I mean, seeing snakes in the wild, especially something that's similar to what you're working with, it really does change your perspective a lot. Like for me, with my rattlesnakes that I keep, I moved out to their habitat, and just experiencing like the real temperature swings that they go through. Like at night, it could be down into the 40s, and then temp gun a rock during the middle of the day, and you can get like 140 on the temp gun. Like these things are living some pretty extreme conditions, and it gives you a respect for how resilient these things truly are, much more than we give them credit for. So, and it applies to, really everything. But to get back into the oxy discussion, so you said you have a dozen adult animals. Does that not include anything that you've produced that you're holding back?
So I have 1.1 Malaysians. The male is like one of the first animals I produced.
Okay.
I have a subadult, like Indo male that I produced. Other than that, like that's all I have that I've produced.
Okay.
I like sold off a lot of stuff and
Sure.
have not been like doing a good job of like holding animals back. And
yeah,
people want to trade me for something cool. I get excited and oh yeah, okay. I have like really tried to like when I was selling them to people, like selling them in groups or like
Sure.
like gifted a bunch of them to like people that like I knew were like actually excited about them. You know what I mean? Like I was at a show, a kid wanted one. I was like, no, you can't buy one. Like you can buy one, but like take these both because like I want to like see these exist in the future. Because there was actually a guy in Massachusetts that had a ton of success with them at one point, and again, like they kind of like disappeared.
Yeah, it definitely seems like one of those species that has had its waves of popularity over the years.
But I'm trying to like vision my room here. So
Yeah.
I have a trio of Indos here. I've got a red, a green, and like a gray red.
Okay.
Here. And then I have a silver phase and a green, and then a trio of greens here.
Okay.
And then a pair of greens there.
Yeah.
So a decent amount of animals. And I've gotten a clutch. The Malaysians have given me 2 clutches. One of the females double clutched, and one of the females gave me a clutch. I've had 2 clutches hatch so far, and I still have 5 in the incubator.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that kind of what you were saying, that like reddish silver one, that animal is insane. I'm not sure if I've seen another ox with that appearance to it.
So I have a so the male I produce is red. I sent the other really red male I had over to Chaz.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like he's just like excited about it. Like,
yeah,
I want that kid to have whatever he needs to succeed. Like, I don't know. He makes me excited about keeping snakes. Like, I just love like seeing people that are like that excited and like into it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. So did that red animal pop out of pairing with that red phenotype in it?
Yeah. So I haven't like proved it out. So some of the red-tailed green rats have like a reddish, like the normal green red-tailed green rats. Some of them have like a stark gray tail. Some of them have like a burgundy maroon tail.
Okay.
So that was from a silver to one that had like that burgundy maroon tail. And then I actually this year put that silver male with another female who has like a stark, just gray tail. So I'm going to see if I still get some of those reds or if they're just more strictly silver from that pairing. Sure. We'll see.
I mean, at this point, how certain are you and the other Gonyo breeders of the mode of inheritance, some of the different color phases?
I have no idea. So the guy that was having success, he's the Gonyosoma.org guy, Freighter Freights.
Okay.
Freightus. But Matt sent me a bunch of like his old files and stuff, and he would do a silver to green pairing and get reds, silvers, and greens. So I have no idea.
Yeah,
more or less. I think I will have more answers this year, but some of the silver animals like are the reddish animals. So some of the reddish animals end up turning like a mocha color by the time like they hit adulthood. So I'm curious to see if the one I produce holds that or turns that mocha color. But I have a adult male I got that's wild caught that is like, he's pretty red and he produced this year. So I'm pretty excited to see what his babies look like.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But there's definitely like a lot of variety within like the silvers.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, that's one of the things that makes them so cool is just, you know, like, I mean, Jansen and I super variable as well. Then, you know, if you get into the Prasinum and the, you know, the rhinos, not quite as variable of species, but, you know, they're obviously very different snakes as well. I want to get back into what you were discussing kind of a little bit earlier about establishing wild caught animals, because I know that's a big challenge. I know you were saying that you're now trying to not do as much as far as the treatment goes ahead of time or, you know, early on, but how are you setting them up when you're first getting them in?
So I'm going to go online. I'm going to make my order. I'm going to get them in. I'm going to go to FedEx. I'm going to bring them home. I'm going to take that bag out. I'm going to pull out paper. If there's paper stuff in there, put them on a scale. I'm going to get a weight on them. Mm-hmm. All right. Then I'm going to pull the tail out and I'm going to sex it. And if you sent me all males, I'm going to send you a nasty email.
Yeah.
And then they're actually this year I had suspicions that like they were pretty sexually dimorphic, but this year, like the first group I bought, it was like a group of 3, and I opened them up. I was like, oh, that looks like a female. Looks like a female. Looks like a female. Because the females seem to have like more like a fat coffin shaped head, and the males, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a more narrow, like seed shape head, and
more like elongated.
Yeah, like elongated, I guess. I don't know, it's just like a skinny, narrower head than the female. And I was like feeling cocky. I was like, no, these are definitely females. And sure as shit, they're all female. So I have weights on them. I put them into like I don't know, what size is this? A 15-inch MacBook. So a 15 by 10 bin. And then I kind of like rain chamber them.
Okay.
And then once there's like an inch of water in the bottom, I'm going to put it in the corner of the room. Do the same thing for the next one. I take a little piece of tape, write the weight down on it, the date I got it, whatever, rain chamber it, put it in here. And then now what I'm doing is like the groups that come in together, I'm going to keep them together. Put them in like a 4x4 cage with substrate.
Oh, wow.
A million places to hide, and I'm going to leave them alone.
Huh. Okay.
I use a lot of hides, and what I try to do is make sure there's a way for each of those hides to close. So you can close the individual animals in individual boxes, and I will drop a feeder in there, leave it, come back, check if it's gone, it's gone. If it's not, great. When I was doing individual animals, and I started doing this with like individual animals in the cages, and I did find that like sometimes I would have to leave that mouse in the cage for like 24 hours for them to eat it. Like, I don't know what it was, like they just weren't on the prowl at that time, but I would like leave them overnight and pull them in the morning. Mm-hmm. And then one day I was like, oh, well, I don't think it's moved since last night, so I'm going to leave it here. And it ended up taking it. And then I tried it again, and it seemed to work. So I don't know if that's, I'd be better off feeding that or putting a food item in like early in the morning versus, 6 p.m. at night. But I have found that leaving it in for longer periods of times increased my success.
Okay.
I don't find them to be problem feeders. I have yet to have one that just hasn't eaten for me.
All right.
But
any particular feeder of choice you go to for their first meals?
mice.
Okay.
Adult mouse. Yeah.
Cool.
Nothing exciting.
Have you fed them like birds or anything like that? Or?
I have started feeding them birds just because they were on sale on Rodent Pro one day, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna grab a bunch of these chicks," and
fair enough.
they worked out pretty well. I actually feed some of them will eat chicken hearts.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
that's neat. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it's good to know that they're typically not difficult because, man, with those, thin, low body fat colubrids, high strung colubrids, there's not a whole lot of room for error when it comes to them eating. When you first get them in, if you don't get food into them quickly, they crash and they'll crash quickly.
I had a really big male tiger rat snake that I just could not get to eat, and then finally, at the month mark, he started to eat, but I couldn't get him back. He started eating, but it just was too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, the colubrids are definitely not as forgiving as the boa constrictors and pythons for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, without question. Yeah, no, it can be a challenging part. So to go back to the talk of treating them, so when you were first really getting heavy into them, were you doing more of a let's treat right away a little?
Yeah, so I was doing Flagyl, Panicure, and Ceftaz. I do.
Okay.
So a lot of them come in with what I assume is some sort of lungworm, because it's this what appears to be pneumonia, is not responsive to antibiotics.
Okay.
Not really a ton of excess saliva, but there's a lot of. So they are a snake that will gape, but it's not the same. They just they'll hold their mouth open for long periods of time, almost panting like a dog or something like that. I have not been able to treat that. I did get I think it's pranaquazole or something like that, which is supposed to kill the lungworm, but it seems to almost kill the snake every time. So,
damn.
So I assume if you have a big worm in your lung and you kill the worm, I mean, it probably causes sepsis, I imagine. I think, I don't know.
So once you see those symptoms, it's kind of well, shoot.
Yeah. Because also so now people kind of reach out to me when they import them and stuff. And I recently had a guy reach out and he was like, "Hey, I got a group of these things and it seems like they all have respiratory infections." And I was like, "Oh, send me a picture." And they're doing the mouth gape thing. Cause even I've had snakes with respiratory infections before.
Yeah.
They'll open their mouth and almost cough or make that hissing noise. But these are long, prolonged, open mouth gapes. And it's not even when they're stressed out.
Yeah.
And sure as can be, oh yeah, they all died. So I don't know. Yeah,
that's thinking about it. I'm not sure if I've ever seen a respiratory infection on a colubrid.
Yeah. I guess me either. Again, but I'm coming from boas and this, and so I just assume. I do wish I kept colubrids earlier, because what I thought was a problem feeder before, it's a joke. You could always get a boa constrictor to eat. It's not an issue, but some of the colubrids are a pain in the ass.
Yeah, no question. So now what do you do? Do you do a treatment later on? Do you treat if you find it necessary? What's your protocol?
If they're look like they're gaining and sustaining weight, they're eating, their poop doesn't look abnormal, I don't do anything.
Okay.
If I'm feeding them and it seems like they're losing weight or not putting weight on, I'll hit them with Flagyl and Panicure and see if it kind of goes away. But even that, like, I am gonna like crush up some Flagyl, mix it with the Panicure, put it in a feeder. I'm not like taking it out and tubing it. And
sure,
like at that point, it's like, if it's like that bad that I'm gonna have to like treat the animal like that, I might as well put it in the freezer.
Yeah, that level of stress on a compromised snake is not a good combo.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, if you're like dead set on like treating them, like, I would just do like a strong quarantine with them and wait till they're eating and drinking. Cause like some of them will come in and like, again, like they'll have like poor skin turgor. Like, again, like, I don't know. It's just like weird coming from like all like the captive born stuff. Cause it's like, you never see it like that. Or if like you did see it, you're like, whoa, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But I've had some pretty like haggard animals come in from some of the importers.
Sure. No question. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've amassed quite the group, so you've done something right. That's for sure.
I think less is more. Like, that's if there was like a secret sauce, leave them alone and feed them.
Yeah.
Know?
How often are you feeding them when you're just establishing them?
If I'm just like trying to get them to eat, I'll feed them like a mouse every, 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
But like trying to breed them, I will feed them like 2 or 3 mice every 5 to 7 days.
Okay. Cool. Yes, that's the next thing I want to talk to you about, is kind of getting them from the process of, you have them, you've established them. Okay, now it's time to get these animals up to speed for breeding. How quickly have you been able to get an animal like from a fresh import to the point where it's starting to cycle for breeding?
So this is the first time I've had an F1 animal produce, and it was probably about 2 years. It's not the size of like an adult,
okay,
male, but I mean, it got the job done. It's eating like adult mice, but that was also the Malaysian. I don't know if we call it a subspecies, but the Malaysian phenotype or locale. They're like pretty obviously different. Like once you like worked with them for a while.
What are some of the differences?
So the Malaysians have like a very like a green chin, and the females are like larger and have even like a more blocky head than even like the Indo females do.
Okay. Interesting.
The babies seem to like hatch a lot larger as well.
Okay. Cool. So just kind of an overall larger.
Yeah. Again, that's with my experience.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I feel like there's probably some parallels, like, I mean, with the mangrove snakes, the Malaysian mangroves are the largest ones. Maybe just something about that existence in that region, promote a larger snake. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then what about for females when you get them in? Like, how quickly can you turn them around to where they're fully settled in?
So the last group of animals I got like 6 or 7 animals last October, like the end of last October, and I've had 2 of those females drop eggs already.
Oh wow, okay, really quickly then.
But they came in and looked amazing.
Sure.
Like there was, I mean, I don't know, I didn't feel like I even like established them. Like they just came in to help,
Sure. Okay. Cool. How are you doing your cycling for breeding?
So I don't know if I'd even like call it cycling. I mean, I guess it's still cycling. Like I've had them drop clutches at like all times of the year.
Okay.
But this year I was like, oh, I think I figured it out. And it seems like it's working, Yeah. You're trying to recreate a rainy season that is plentiful of food. One thing I will say is like I found humidity stimulates them to breed, but they will get skin problems if you let them my substrate.
Yeah.
So I just try to do like a deep combination substrate, like, like a fine particle cocoa core and cocoa blocks and mulch or leaves on top. So that way you can spray it. The top is dry. It's moist on the bottom. You're getting your humidity, but they're able to dry out, or I honestly feel like that's why, like, my Malaysian pear is in like one of those 3x3x18 exoterra.
Okay.
So it's got a screen top. So it just dries out really easily. I have a hose in my room so I can keep it humid. But again, like, I'm able to spray them pretty good every day.
Yeah.
It's able to dry out so they're not having those skin issues.
Okay.
I have noticed that I have to add a lot of ventilation to the PVC cages for them, or they tend to get a little too moist in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those PVC cages can be a real pain in the ass with that. Just especially that most of them are designed with very little ventilation at all. Yeah. Okay. So then creating that rainy season in conjunction with the increase in food.
Yeah.
Okay. And then do they come into gear right away, or is it like after a little while of that, then they
after a little while it seems to happen. They didn't all happen at once. I mean, I kind of want to say like clockwork, I really like started feeding them heavy in the fall, and I was misting them pretty heavily, and was it January I got my first clutch of egg.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
And temperature wise, you're not doing much with them?
No. I am not doing much, but I live in Massachusetts, so the weather change is extreme here, right? So
yeah,
my room's 76 to 78 degrees on a thermostat, but Massachusetts does what it wants. I would say my room probably is a little hotter in the summer, a little cooler in the winter.
Okay.
It's probably pretty dry in the winter, even with the misting. I'm sure there's like a difference that they can sense. Not to mention, we have crazy fall storms here. We have pretty crazy winter storms. So like the barometric pressure fluctuates. A lot of people seem to have trouble with boas. I had really good success with boas, and I attribute it to the undeniable seasonability, like whether you want to do it or not, it's happening. Yeah. There's also a window in my room, so they're getting the light cycles, which are also pretty extreme here.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Real quick one from the chat. Do you have any red tails available right now?
I don't have any available right now. I just had 2 clutches hatch, but I'm going to get them eaten and stuff first. But I post them on Instagram before I post them anywhere else.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And then for the size on your adults before you get them up for breeding, what are you looking for with your males and females? Are you looking for a particular length, girth? Like, what's your barometer you're using?
I really don't like have one, because again, I'm like mostly working with adult wild caught animals. You know what I mean? So the male, this year, he was eating adult mice, and again, I've done boas before, and they'll breed at like 18 months. This one's probably 2.5 years old. I said, well, why not try? Let's do it. So
like 5 feet, maybe.
The males are smaller. I would say, again, I don't know. I'm not a good judge of length. I wouldn't say it's 5 feet long. I'd say it's probably more like 4 feet long.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but girth wise, it'll eat adult, a large adult mouse.
And would that like leave a lump in the snake or no?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it would leave a lump in it. Nothing crazy, but it would leave a lump. You'd see a lump there.
Cool.
For sure. But like the female could probably eat 6 mice in a sitting.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I would say like the males are kind of like big corn snake size. And
Okay. Okay. And then the female is maybe a bit larger than them then?
like, I wouldn't say it's like a big black rat snake, but like a small black rat snake.
Okay.
I don't know what else I can compare it to that I have. It's the adult females, like girth wise, I would say is similar to a tiger rat. They're definitely, I wouldn't say they're as long.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
You could get away with feeding one like a small rat.
Yeah. Sure. Okay. Cool. That definitely makes sense. So kind of to go back to breeding for a minute. Are you witnessing a bunch of copulation? Are they kind of secretive with it? What are their mating habits like?
So you see a lot of courting. I've seen a handful of locks. When they do lock, it's a pretty like extreme lock, and they're like dragging each other around the cage.
Okay.
But a lot of courting. And then a lot of, is that an ovulation? I don't know. I've been fooled a couple of times, or even like I don't know if like they'll reabsorb their follicles, like by the felt I'm like, oh yeah, there's follicles in here, I'm gonna get eggs.
Yeah.
And they don't. I don't know if it's because like I'm like, oh, I'm getting eggs, and I slow down on the feeding, and they reabsorb, or I'm just crazy and didn't actually feel follicles.
Yeah, fair enough. Quick question from the chat. So the oxy with the blue on the sides, Brooke is asking if those are Indonesian, like the silver with the blue, or even green with the blue. I'm not sure what she's asking.
I think that they're talking about the Borneo locality, which I don't have.
Oh, okay.
They do all of them like do have like some blues in them. Almost like I feel like when they get scale damage, like it ends up being blue.
Yeah, so green with blue on the sides.
I don't know how. I'm assuming the only ones like I can think of is there like a way we can like Google a Borneo locale and show her.
Yeah, let me give it a shot. See if I can pull this off.
You know who I think works with them is Ashley Dazan.
Okay.
But like some of them are like yellow and some of them are blue, the Borneos.
Okay, let me see if I can get this. I don't know if Google is going to be my best friend today. I don't know. Maybe we should have thought of this ahead of time. Anyway, I guess she's asks her Indonesian silver phase has blue specks.
I feel they all do kind of have blue specks. There is like some pretty extreme blue ones, which are from like Borneo.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely all kind of have some like blue like streaks. I don't know. It's almost like it almost looks like when a car gets its like paint scraped off and underneath it's like blue. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I've seen that. I've seen a lot of that as well.
Okay. Cool. So at what point are your females, are they going off of food before they have their prelay shed? How do their feeding habits change as they get later on in their cycle?
Usually they don't go off food unless they're in shed. Like they'll all stop eating when they're in shed. But it's pretty rare for them to even go off food.
Even while they're gravid?
Yeah. The males will stop.
Okay.
But no, I don't see the females stopping eating. No.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Very interesting.
Maybe a meal before they like lay.
Yeah.
Not anything like super obvious that like I would just be like, yep, they all stop eating after, their pre-lay shed are
Okay.
usually good to go.
Okay. That's really
The
cool.
males will get finicky sometimes and they won't eat for a little bit, but I really don't see that with the females.
Okay. Yeah, the with like my experience with like spilotes and pituophis and stuff like that. Like I've had a couple take a meal or two while they're gravid, but they're hesitant about it, the ones who do eat, and then the other ones they just ride it out until they lay their clutch, and then like the same day they'll eat after they lay. So
my female spilotes like took a what's it called, the chick the other day, and like hit it behind the hide, and I was like, what is going on in here? Like, because I like could see like little flies in there. I was like, what the hell? But she must have not eat because she laid some eggs under the water bowl. But yeah, that was a fun one to find.
were they good?
They don't look good. I put them in the incubator, but I don't have high hopes.
Yeah, fair enough.
They looked like long fingers, and I went through like some pictures and looked like a lot of people's duds, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely seems to be the case with a lot of the first time females. But they'll have a bad first clutch and then come back around the second time and have good eggs. So
my Persinum have given me duds the past 2 years in a row.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Some of these colubras really get my like. You think a lot of them are super similar in the way that they breed, and then some just completely throw you for a loop. And like even like for me right now, my cave racers, I'm totally puzzled as to what the hell is going on with them, because like when I bred blue beauties in the past, which I just figured were very similar snakes, they went on a really standard colubrid breeding schedule. Bring them up from brumation, give them some food, pair them up, breed, eggs in the spring. And then with these cave racers, like the female was kind of hesitant to eat out of brumation. The male would try to breed her like crazy, but she didn't develop. And now all of a sudden she's like started to get really ravenous. And I've been feeding her a lot more, but I'm still not sure if she's developing follicles yet. I know she's big enough, and I know it's a female. So I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on with this snake. Like,
I don't know. I feel like just keep introducing the male.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I really feel like that's like another like boa constrictor thing. Like people are like, oh, the male's not interested. And then they like give up too early. Because I have like a suspicion that like even just like a male being present can stimulate follicle growth, like in some snakes. Like,
yeah. I think so as well. Yeah, but like because there's definitely some that were a do, but like I've had pairs that I've put together on and off for like with pythons for probably like 8 months. And then I need to give it up at this point. Like this is getting crazy. Like she knows he's there. She's not doing it.
Yeah. I do cohab my oxys.
Okay.
Yeah.
In just pairs, or do you even have some larger groups in there?
I tried a trio for the first time this year.
Okay.
Or 2 trios, and they've both been successful.
Okay. Very cool.
I haven't tried putting 2 males together. I had a reverse trio together of the Persinum. Wasn't a good idea. Yeah.
What did you get some fighting or something, or
a lot of fighting? Yeah. Which I like. Originally thought I was like, oh, maybe they're courting, and like no, they're trying to kill each other. I'm like, okay.
So with your trios that are together, what are you doing for nesting? Do you have multiple sites set up for them, or are you seeing any sort of competition as far as like territorialism goes?
I have like all my setups have like a ton of hides in them.
Yeah.
And even like I have like these little like PVC bird houses I've like made that again like have doors, so like even if like 2 are in the hide and I like can't feed them at this time, I'll close them in the hide, feed the one that's out. but they all seem to like have their favorite places to hang out. Sometimes they all hang out together. It doesn't seem like competition though. Like they seem very comfortable together. I also like, again, it's like a suspicion. I feel like they do better together than they do separate, because not last year, but the year before, I did separate the males for a month or two to see if that helped, because, you know, I was trying something different every year and seeing what would work. And they're like 1,000% more skittish, like all of the animals, even like the males were like moved to new cages. So I was like, oh, well, maybe they're skittish because they're in a new cage, but the females are like more skittish. I think there's like a dither effect. Like, have you ever kept fish? No. So sometimes when you keep like a group of fish together, they're out more because they see the other fish out and they feel more comfortable, like it's safe, right? So like sometimes you'll have like a pair of big fish and they'll just hide all the time under a log or something. But you add a couple small fish that will like school on the top, and they see them schooling and they're like, oh, well, it's safe. Yeah. So they come out. I kind of feel like there's something to that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like I cohab my spilotes, and I had success once I started doing that. You know, and they interact with each other all the time. What's really cool though is I don't see like the males pestering the females off season. They're not trying to mate them constantly. So that was the only thing I was worried about. Like once they really got comfortable and were breeding, that the males would just be like overbearing. But so far that hasn't been an issue, which is nice. So anything like that with the oxys?
No.
Okay.
No, notice they seem to do really well.
Cool. Very cool. So what's like the typical clutch size you're seeing out of them?
4 to 6 eggs.
Okay. Cool.
The biggest I've had so far is 7 eggs.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So then what about your incubation strategy? How are you going about doing that?
Well, I have to do something new because I'm getting more eggs now, but I use a hoverbaiter.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's getting problematic now. So
yeah, I can imagine 7 clutches in a hoverbaiter might not fit.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm working on it. I've been like hoping I can like find like a laboratory incubator on Facebook Marketplace pop up or something. But I've also been like I work at a hospital, so I've been like pestering people at the lab, like, hey, you know, if you guys are getting rid of any equipment or like an old fridge.
Yeah. For sure. So, but then even down to like the egg boxes you're setting up and like temperatures and whatnot, like how are you doing your egg boxes?
So right now I'm just using a 6-inch deli cup. I use vermiculite, which is so messy. But again, like, I don't like changing something that I've already started. So, you know, I mix it till it clumps, but it doesn't wring out any water. I try to, you know, partially bury them. I throw them in at 81.5 degrees in the hoverbaiter, which who knows what that actually is. And 95 to 120 days later, they hatch.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was talking with Chaz about the Jansen, I was shocked at how long those things freaking take. I was expecting more like that. That's kind of, you know, like the sulfurous kind of have that longer incubation time. But yeah, it's kind of shocking how long those eggs take.
Yeah. So when the first one pips, I usually, you know, make windows and all the other ones.
Okay.
And they come out or they don't.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, have you had pretty good success like once you have a fertile egg that thing makes it the distance?
Yes. My biggest problem has been being impatient and like trying to open eggs early.
Sure.
I'm like, oh, well, like my first clutch this year, I was at like 118 days And I was like, what's going on? So I cut a window, poked it a little bit. It was moving, left it alone. And then, you know, the one I opened up came out and died. The other two came out on their own and were fine. I should have just left it alone. I broke my rule. Less is more.
Yeah.
Less is more.
Yeah, no, that's a tough trap to get caught up in, because it's so tempting, especially with these species that take forever to hatch. It's it gets scary.
They're like, their eggs are like incredibly like hard compared to like other snake eggs. Like,
oh really?
Like the mandarin rat eggs are like paper thin and soft. These are like almost like a tortoise egg. Like I don't know, like it's like, or like thick leather. Even like cutting them open with the scissors is a chore.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But they do come out. I almost wonder if like they kind of like need like the pressure to open up, and that's like opening early is causing an issue.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Do they start off hard like that, or do they harden up through incubation?
No, they're hard. They come out and they're hard. Yeah.
They're adhered to each other still though?
Yes. I try to pull them apart if I can, but if I can't, I just, you know, partially bury it, make sure every one of them's kind of touching vermiculite somewhere, and let it ride.
Okay.
I see a lot of people do like the sphagnum moss. I just like I don't know. I feel like I'm like always nervous that it's gonna be like too much humidity.
Yeah. It's always such a difficult balance. I think I screwed up some bull snake eggs this year by having them too humid in the incubation chamber. Like I mixed up the egg bedding the same, like the vermiculite and perlite mixture the same way I would for a python clutch and a warmer incubator. But then I have these kind of more at room temperature, and it just didn't dry out at all throughout the process. And I think maybe it was even too wet going in. Either that or they just weren't good eggs to begin with. I couldn't really tell, because like they candled fertile, but obviously that doesn't always mean that egg is going to be good. Yeah. So I don't know. It's such a delicate balance. It's terrible.
I use like the deli cups this year. I've always used just like ghetto Gladware with like 4 holes in it. And I did like this year, they're drying out really quick. So I'm like taping up all the holes, because there's like, I just got like the pre-punched jellies, and there's too much ventilation in there. So yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I definitely want to get into some more topics, raising babies, etc. But we're about at that halfway point of the show, so I'm going to play these here commercials real quick. But stick tight, everybody. We'll be back here in a couple minutes.
Sorry for the interruption, folks, but a quick word from our sponsors. Green tree pythons, emerald tree boas, and plenty other arboreal snakes have been quite the popularity here at the Trap Talk Reptile Network, which brings me to today's sponsor, the Reptile Perch. Head over to the reptileperch.com and Reptile Perch on Instagram. See what type of design PVC perch is best for your arboreal reptile. But first and foremost, I would also check out David Brom's Green Tree Python availability on the website. And you can also check out his Instagram just to stay current on any projects or any productions that he posts. Thank you so much, David Broms, for your ongoing support. Looking forward to seeing what you have to show in the 2025 season. When you think about building a good community and being a leader of that community, nobody comes to mind better than Mark Hager over at Texas Chondros. That's right. Make sure you head over to TX Chondros on Instagram, and also head over to Mark's website, see what he has available green tree python wise, and be ready for quite the 2025 green tree python breeding season out of Mark Hager. He's a veteran in the green tree python game, one of the best and nicest breeders in the green tree python game. He's been putting on the whole state of Texas for as long as I've known him. So if you want to see all the amazing other chondro keepers out of the state of Texas, another good reason to go follow Mark Hager over at TX Chondros on Instagram. And again, head over to his website, texaschondros.com. You can find all the links in the description below. Thank you so much, Mark Hager, for supporting the Trap. Treat. One of the biggest growths we have in the reptile industry today are the rare species of reptiles that aren't worked with. That's right. That's why I went ahead and partnered up again with Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian works with species such as kahua geckos, gargoyle geckos, all species of tree monitors. He works with abronia and many other cool species geckos that you can check out all on his website. Head over to sundownreptiles.com, see what he has available. Brian's one of the best doing it in the reptile industry today. He's been on the show multiple times, so make sure you check out all of Brian Susan's episodes on Trap Talk Reptile Network. But more importantly, for the highest quality of captive bred reptiles, make sure you head over to sundownreptiles.com and make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. Thank you again, Brian Susan over at SUNDOWN Reptiles. One of the things I love about being a part of the reptile industry is all the learning, okay? Learning can be fun, and I can prove that to you. Thank you so much to today's sponsor, Gary Scavino over at gs.reptiles. I highly recommend you head over to his YouTube channel, follow all this man's content when it comes to learning about rare species of snakes you could be keeping in the hobby, and also just finding out how easy a lot of these rare species of snakes are to keep in general. So thank you so much, Gary Scavino of GS Reptiles. Again, head over to his YouTube channel. Also head over to his Instagram to be on top of all of his current work and be ready for a big year over at GS Reptiles. Thank you so much, Gary, for your ongoing support. I really appreciate it. Choo!
Alrighty, we are back. So before getting into some of the baby talk, another question here from Brooke. What size enclosure do you recommend for an adult pair?
I like a 4x2x2.
Okay.
Yeah. You could definitely, like, they'd be fine in something smaller, but
Okay.
that's what I've like found the most enjoyable, to like deck out with hides and get the most out of them.
Yeah. What about like what you're saying? You said you have like the 36, 18, 36 Exoterra. You said you have adults in those as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a pair in one of those. I have, I know, like Neodasia cage is like a similar footprint to that, but it's like on its side, it's like 30 something by 30 something by like 18 or so, or 20 tall.
Yeah.
I like that one too. It's not that great for pictures because it's yellow, but
yeah,
it does the job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I remember from my discussion with Chaz a couple of weeks ago, he mentioned about females having multiple clutches throughout the year. Have you been experiencing that? Have you had females doubled? I mean, I know you said you had some doubles. Have you had anything triple clutches, anything like that?
I haven't had any triple clutches. But again, like, you know, I could have, you know, one in May, July, January, you know, like within a calendar year, you know, with 365 days. I've never done the math, but I assume I probably had 3 clutches in that time span.
Okay.
Well, I think I'll find out this year, because I think I have it down. So we'll see.
Yeah. So then in the females that have double clutch for you, how soon after they lay that first clutch are they going back and cycling again? And are you treating them the same way that second time where you increase the food and the spraying?
So I've just been trying to stay on I'm just trying to stay on it. I'm trying to think.
Okay.
February 4th, I think I got the first 2 clutches was like January 29th and February 4th. Both of those females have dropped eggs again, and they dropped them like a month ago at least. So
Okay.
I don't know, I'm not a mathematician, but like that's within, I think, 3 months.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
So there's definitely room. I also, again, like, I have a feeling that I don't think they triple clutch. I think they're recopulating. You know what I mean? I think, you know, I think I heard someone say like they've had like 7 clutches in a year or something like that. I didn't hear anyone say that. I heard someone like parrot that.
Sure.
again, like I've also seen like copulation and courting throughout the year. I don't know if it's like actually like a true double clutch or if like they're continuing to copulate throughout the year.
Sure. So not like where it's necessarily retained sperm, but they're going through a new cycle, new mating, new everything, back to like that.
I could be wrong, but again, like it's not like I see their behavior stop completely, and this is like they kind of court throughout the whole year. It's not like they just start courting and then stop for the rest of the year.
Sure, fair enough. Do those, when you see the courtship, is that typically followed by a clutch within due time, or sometimes are you seeing that behavior and then nothing happens subsequently?
So I have seen it like happen where the clutch comes, and then I've had it and they expected the clutch. Even I've like seen, again, like I said, seen what I thought was an ovulation, feel like I felt follicles, and then again, like maybe pulled back on the food because I thought, you know, it's already done, and then oh, she's looking skinny again, and I don't know. I'm not. I don't dig my heels in the sand over anything. I don't know what. I wouldn't bet my life on it. You know what I mean?
Hey, I mean, something's going right. So, so then when it comes to babies, how have they been for you to establish out of the egg? Are they taking food pretty readily for you?
Yeah, they're again. So I kind of like set up a protocol for myself. I let them shed, frozen pinky in a deli cup overnight, or even, you know, sometimes it takes an hour. I do that for a handful of times. Then I'll try just drop feeding them. And once they drop feed and they drop feed, if I try the pinky twice, they don't eat. I sent it with the silver side.
Okay.
And that's usually worked.
Okay.
Would it have worked if I just did it a third time in the cup? Maybe, but I'm just trying to follow a routine that's working. So
yeah. Okay. So pretty much no issue aside from maybe having to be a little bit creative once or twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Early on, I was like doing the tease feeding thing. Mostly, I think out of me being impatient.
Sure.
Just like trusting the process, which worked, but was a pain in the ass. It was a good way to tame the animal, because then, you know, after a few weeks of that, it didn't work anymore because it didn't even care that it was being held. But
where like you
hold them in
the bird snake technique of tap. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I have bird snakes at my house too.
Yeah. Those are cool. Those are weird in the best way.
They are very weird. Their heads, they're like aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we'll definitely get into those for sure in a little bit. They're freaking super cool. So typically, how long are you holding on to these baby red tails before you feel comfortable making them available, putting them in other people's hands?
I don't know. Till they're regularly like taking drop fed pinkies.
Okay.
Once I'm confident they'll take a drop fed pinky, I'm cool with it. I mean, I've given them to like other, like, I don't want to say real. There's people that keep snakes, and then there's snake keepers, right?
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
you know, if my buddy Frankie wanted one that hatched yesterday, I'd give it to him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you know, you gotta read the room a little bit.
Sure.
I don't know. I have been like hesitant to send them to some people just because, again, like, this is not like a money making thing for me, right? I've spent all this money on these $100 snakes, but I don't know. Like, I want these to go to people that are going to be excited about them and produce them, and you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially with a species like this, where like you were saying earlier, you know, there was somebody who was breeding them like crazy and then stopped, and then they kind of disappeared. Like a species like this can disappear really easily. So those first, second generation animals, it's super important that all of those go back towards the cause.
Well, not to get political, but like getting anything into the country could change at the drop of a hat with the way things are going right now. Like
Seriously.
they could say, we're not sending anything to the U.S. anymore.
Yeah.
Or, oh, this $100 snake is now $600 because that's how much it costs to get it here,
Yeah.
And then it's gone, because again, like that's why like I haven't wanted to like pull the trigger on any of those like black Jansen. I am not spending $1,000 on something that has a 90% mortality rate. Like I'm not doing it.
Yeah, or like the Marjorie Tatum that are popping up here and there. Yeah. $12,000 for a fucking Gonyosoma.
Yeah.
Like that's a very pretty $100 snake. Like, you breed that thing, you get captive babies, sure, charge what you want, but you might as well play the lottery before you get a snake like that. My gosh, for that money, like
a lot of it, it's just like I don't know. I'm keeping a snake in a box. Like let's get over ourselves here. Yeah,
I mean, those snakes are going to be $2,000 in a couple of years. There's just no way they're not going to be.
Hopefully, if like people again, like if you make it that like unattainable, it's like nobody's gonna work with them, and they're just gonna be over there still.
Right. Well, I mean, especially these days with how much of a market is developing in Asia for, these rare species. I mean, like with the scrub pythons, they like nice imported scrub pythons haven't really been a thing for probably 4 or 5 years. And thankfully, in the meantime, captive breeding has picked up on them, but they're all going to Japan and Korea or even staying in Indonesia. Like, and they're paying probably more than what the US importers are paying. And it's like, they're still sending these animals out. They're not sending them as far as they used to.
Yeah.
Because I'll see keepers over there pop up with 10 new baby Moluccan scrubs. I'm like, oh, that's where they're going. They're going to freaking Korea. Like, they're just not coming here anymore. They're still collecting them. They're still, the farms are still getting them and they're sending them out. They're just not sending them as far anymore. So that's almost even worse than like if they were shut down completely, because it's like they're still doing it. We just can't get them anymore. So
well, it's like everything's like that too. Like, I don't know, people like have to appreciate the weird stuff a little bit. Like,
sure,
there was a time you couldn't give away a water python or a McClot's python or a Savu python.
Yeah.
Now, good luck getting one.
Right.
I mean, you can get most of them, but like it's not like a $50 snake. Even like the Argentine boa is like over the past few years.
Yeah.
I feel like it's coming down now, but like
sure,
you couldn't give those away 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And then they were like selling for like $1,200 a piece. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, peak COVID, nice ones were going for like, I feel like I saw like really nice high pink ones for like $2,500 a piece.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is absolutely insane. Like, even like a species like Dumerel's boas went through that same kind of thing, especially once Madagascar shut back down again. Like they were, $200-300, and then all of a sudden just up to like $800-900 a piece, and then kind of slowly evened out over time. It happens so much.
Then I feel like now everyone's dumping on them again, and they'll be disappeared again in 5 years, and they'll be worth $1 million again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, how many times can we go through these cycles before that's the last time we can go through that cycle? Yeah. And now it's just like a distant memory of, the species that used to be here.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's fucking scary, but at least though these days, I feel like there's much more emphasis on getting things established in the hobby, and people are like, I want my project that I put my stamp on of like, this is the thing that I, created an insurance colony for. And I think that's awesome. I love seeing people do that. Question in the chat here. How do you feel about sending your productions overseas? Have you done that yet? Have you exported any of yours?
No, I hate shipping, period, let alone overseas.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough. But I feel like especially the stage you're at, there would be no need. People here would want, be lining up for them. So
I don't even have a membership at any of these shipping companies. I usually have send me a shipping label.
Yeah.
Email me a shipping label and I'll send it.
Yeah.
But this year I'm going to be a grown up and I'm going to ship. I'm going to just bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah. No, I've never gotten to the point where like I'll send a box out and not be worried.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's certain times where I'm for sure more worried than others or vice versa, but even still, every time I'm just like,
the level of like incompetence out in the world right now, like literally everywhere you like, I work in an emergency room as a nurse, and like it's scary out there.
Sure.
And like, I don't know. I just went to, I've been building a porch, and every time I go to Home Depot, like, where's the PT? What's PT? And you work at Home Depot? Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's scary out there.
Yeah.
You see all these people chucking the FedEx boxes across the yard. It's like,
yeah.
Wow.
No, it's scary. I feel like a lot of times the people who work at the end hubs are pretty good, and like they know what the reptiles are all about. Like they know the people who come pick them up. They like, every FedEx hub that I've used, they've been really good about it. It's Memphis and Indianapolis, the sort facilities, that's what scares me, man. Yeah, I mean,
my FedEx guy knows what I have, because when he comes, hey, you want to see this? Like, I try, like, even like when I go drop the snake off, like, hey, check out what I'm sending. This is cool. So like the lady at the FedEx office, I have pictures of her holding like snakes. You know what I mean? Like, so I want her to care about my box when I send it.
Yeah,
my FedEx guy to be like, oh, there could be a snake in here. I'm gonna put this in the shade. Get them a little invested in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, luckily for the last couple of years, things have been pretty good. But man, 2020, 2021, there was a good, I think it was between like 2021, 2022, and put in perspective, I lived in Indianapolis, one of the two main hubs. Yeah. So most of the time, it didn't even need to go to a final destination. It just went from Indianapolis to wherever it was going. It would sometimes go through Memphis, but which I found completely ridiculous. But for about a year, I think every single package got delayed at least a day.
Oh my god!
Like every single, there was every Wednesday I was calling Ship Your Reptiles, like, hey, I have 3 tracking numbers to give you, and luckily there were no casualties as a result of any of that. But like, it was consistent. I don't know. It was the most insane thing I've ever experienced. Like, it was terrifying. So yeah, man, and especially like, not to say that people don't necessarily care, but especially when it's something that you've worked so hard on. And, like for me, and I hate to say it this way, but like with the spilotes too, I was pretty bent about my spilotes, but when I send out any scrub pythons, I'm not sleeping very well that night.
Yeah.
No matter what. It's yeah. The spilotes were the same way. I don't know if I slept too well when I sent out any of my spilotes babies, but it's a scary.
I have a lot of like questions now too, like about the oxy stuff, and just like talking to people. It's like, oh, my setup's perfect. I'm like, okay, what's the temperature of the room you're keeping the snake in? 65 degrees? There's no way that that's perfect. Like you might have a hot spot, but there's no way like the air temperature that like, but again, like people like don't even understand what like ambient temperature actually means. It's like, it's like hard to like get through to people. So like I got these people offering me $150 for like my snakes. I'm like, no, I'd rather give it away to somebody else. Like, no, like,
yeah,
like,
100%. But yeah, no, I feel that for sure. Well, the last thing I want to hit on the oxys is, do you have any sort of like long-term goals as far as specific projects you want to work on, colors you want to try to enhance, anything like that?
I mean, my goal is to like, produce them and get them into the hands of like capable people and have them be around. I am particularly excited about the red phase. But I mean, even like a normal oxy. I mean, what's cooler than a green snake?
Yeah, seriously.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love all the green snakes. I don't know. So just keeping them going. That's my goal. Keeping them going. I would like to get some Jansen eye
Yeah.
in the mix, but I got to get rid of some things and make some room. And
would you go with the black phase or with the normal phase?
I'd probably go with the normal phase first.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't need the expensive stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I like the black Jansen. I think they're really cool, but man, there's something about, especially like the really like golden ones that Chaz has.
Yeah.
You want to take it away? Like, damn, man.
Yeah. I don't know. I've got a full-time job I work 50 hours a week at. I have a small photography business. This is like my keep me happy therapy. If I can make some money and help pay for a Disney trip this year for my kids and my wife and stuff, that's cool, But
Yeah.
I don't know. I like going down there, cleaning my snake poop, looking at the snakes, watching them, feeding them. It kind of helps keep me sane.
Yeah. Hey.
I like, chatting with people about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what makes this hobby fun is, having those connections, doing, cleaning snakes is fun and all, but having people to share it with is what really makes it special.
Yeah. It must, people that make a living doing this, I can see it must be pretty stressful,
It can be. The most stressful part is the inconsistency of stuff selling.
Yeah.
That's the worst part about it. Cleaning the snakes all the time is the easiest part. But
just dealing with people's not easy, I helped this kid buy a pair of snakes and helped him over a month, and I tell him one thing, he do the other, and then it's 2 months later they're both dead, and he's like, you know what? I think that person sold me a snake with respiratory infections. I'm gonna complain. I'm like, dude, leave that seller alone. What do you mean? It's been 2 months.
Yeah.
People are crazy, and it doesn't matter. You can't even realize you cannot blame this on anyone else except yourself. You had these things for 2 months.
Yeah.
Again, in your cold bedroom, I don't know. Here's what it is. But customer services is difficult,
Yeah, it definitely is. And I can only imagine for people who don't put a lot of effort into promoting themselves aside from sales, if what either of us will do of posting our adults and, videos, pictures and stuff like that, it gives people an idea of what they need to do. And then also the same times hey, I have these, and, posting eggs, posting babies. But for the people who just rely on ads and stuff like that, you have no idea what customer you're attracting to you. And, I can only imagine, because I'm very lucky. Most to everyone who I, send snakes to, they're prepared. They know what they're doing, and they ask all the questions they need to, and they have a good experience. And so do I. It's so it can be great, and most of the time is, but man, when it goes bad, oh boy, that makes you'll sit there do I really want to be doing this? And then you obviously the answer is yes, but you're questioning that for a minute before that.
Yeah,
certainly.
But I don't know. My biggest thing is trying to explain to people if you're gonna get a wild caught oxy, do not put it in your living room. Do not put it in your kitchen. This.
Yeah.
Put it somewhere quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Make just because it has a 88-degree hotspot does not mean your ambient temperature is correct. I think an ambient temperature for this animal is important. It does not want to be 65 degrees. You want it to be humid. You do not want it to be wet and stagnant.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of those things are like hard for people to like comprehend, and it's hard to like get through to people.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, especially with sensitive species that can be a pain in the ass. But as we're kind of, you know, in the later part of the show, I want to touch on some of the other species you're working with as well. One that you know, we touched on very briefly are the bird snakes. So tell me about your bird snakes that you have. Do you have just a pair of those, or do you have more than that?
I just have a pair of those that a friend sent me and said, hey, you want to take these and breed these and we'll split clutches? And I was like, sure. I've been like dying to like work with these.
Yeah.
So, you know, I built a cage, and they're really cool. I've like fed them like chicken eggs, you know, chicken hearts, chicks, mice. I don't know, they're cool. They're like always like out and about. They're not something that's like in the cage. I actually got a cool video of them copulating, which was kind of cool.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hopefully, you know, get some eggs. That would be cool.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like the fact that like I could feed them chicken eggs if I wanted to, you know.
Sure.
I also have Lake Chapala garter snakes. Like,
okay.
Those are cool. Like, you know, I literally feed them silver sides, mice. Like, I don't know. I really like experimenting with like the different feeders, especially with like the price of everything right now. And it's cool to see stuff like that's actually interested in eating other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely cool. Yeah, that's something that I should probably do at some point with like my spilotes, is try to like put like a little nest of eggs in there and just see what they do with them.
I tried the chicken eggs with the spilotes and they didn't bite. I got to try like the quail eggs or something like a little smaller. Maybe they'd be more interested.
Yeah, we're breeding quail now, and those things produce eggs like crazy. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see if how they would take to some quail eggs. So yeah, it's just it's super cool. I used to have bird snakes. I don't anymore, but I raised one up from a baby, and like doing the little hand feeding thing, it's a trippy experience, man. You're like, why does this make you tick? Like, this is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, they like flatten their heads out, and like they have like those crazy bug eyes. I don't know, they're cool.
Yeah, no, they're super neat, and just the variability. I mean, maybe the most variable snake species in the entire world. You could probably make an argument for those guys. Like, I mean, basically every color you can think of, and then every combination thereof. Like,
yeah,
it's amazing.
And it's cool because it's like a Pokemon trading card or something like that. Like it comes out, they all look the same, and then you don't know what they're gonna look like.
Yeah, I mean the 2 to 3 year OCC is that's a hell of a commitment right there.
Yeah,
especially because it's multiple phase. Like, they get uglier first, and then they become what they are going to end up being. They're just such cool snakes, man. There's so much about them that just is so different than really almost anything else. And even like, you know, how the old Seuss's classification with the puffing snakes, like, couldn't have a more different snake, you know. Like, there's those two are so different from one another. They have some, I guess, maybe some, I would even say some structural similarities. The sulfurous heads are a little bit more vertical, but yeah, I mean, it's just such a unique snake.
Well, it's funny too, because I used to like, people are like, oh, rhinos and oxys are nothing alike. And before I like had rhino rat snakes, I was like, what do you mean? They like look the same. They both have like that little stripe on their face. They're green.
Yeah.
Like, again, like when you have them in hand, it's like, oh yeah, this is not even on the same planet.
Yeah. No,
like,
for sure. I mean,
this snake that I could put in my refrigerator for 6 months, you know, in water, like, and it would probably be fine, is definitely not the same.
Yeah. So then how do you go about that with your rhinos, kind of doing that, like keeping their parameters alongside your oxys?
So my room's not that hot. I just don't give them a hot spot.
Okay.
They seem to be doing well. I think that the female is going to drop eggs.
Cool.
But again, I thought that last year and I was mistaken.
Fair enough.
You know, we'll see. But again, like don't know, that I would love to like get baby rhinos. They're so cool. But again, I just like really like having like, that's like a snake. Again, like someone that doesn't like snakes comes to my snake room. It's like, oh my God, you take that thing out and they're like, oh, what's this? Like, why does it have that on your nose? It's not going to bite me. Like,
yeah, it's definitely one of those snake species where like you just said, you just can't not look at that thing and be fascinated. Like, what is going on there? Like, it's this beautiful green and blue color with this crazy horn. They're small and pretty calm. Like, they're just so neat.
Yeah, they're like an awesome pet too. Like again, like that's a snake that you could put in your living room. It can deal with like the ambient temperatures of your house. Like, that's like an underrated like pet snake. I feel like then they're coming like more available, so I think it'll probably become less over or underrated. Like, I just think they're expensive, so it's not super attainable. But like, they could easily be like a crested gecko species. Like, they're very easy. Like once they're eating rodents.
Yeah, for sure. Do you do anything with them as far as brumation goes?
Yeah, and so my snake room's in my basement. So that room is heated. The rest of my basement isn't. I just took them out this year, and my basement gets like between like 50 and 60 degrees in the wintertime. Last winter it was like too warm. So like I tried to brumate my tortoises last year in my basement, and they like just wouldn't go down. This year I did it with a refrigerator, and it worked.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How cool did you set the refrigerator?
50 degrees.
Okay.
Yeah. But last year, like again, like I'd get like a warm day, and it'd be like 60 degrees, and I'd open like the cooler, and there they are looking up at me like, "What are you doing?" Yeah, so last year I had to pull them early. So, all right, we'll try this again next time.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I want to talk to you about the mandarin rats for a minute. It's a species that I've always really been fascinated by, that I've never kept. Are you just kind of doing them ambient in that space?
Yeah, just ambient, like closer to the floor.
Yeah. What would you say their ambient temperature is throughout the year where you have them?
75 degrees probably.
Sure. Okay.
Give or take. My room, I have like a night cycle, so my heater goes down to like 72, 73 degrees at night.
Okay.
So it might be a little cooler, at that time, like on the lower area of my room, but mid to low 70s. I'd say.
Cool. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I feel like I've heard that once, if you get them into the 80s, you'll start running into problems. Is that the case?
I don't know. So maybe like the top of my room gets to the 80s, but I don't ever like try to get my room that hot. My room's in like a basement, so it like wants to be on the cooler side anyway. So like in the summertime, like it might get up to like 80 degrees, but my temperature probe for my thermostat's like hanging a foot off the ceiling, and I do have like fans circulating it. Yeah. But it doesn't usually like stay that hot long.
Okay. Cool. Do you have your mandarins cohabbed as well, or do you kind of
kind of. I have them in like one of those weird gecko enclosures that I wish I knew the brand because they're awesome enclosures. But there's like a separator in the middle, and I have like a 2-inch PVC that I slap together. So some parts of the year I cohab them, and some parts I keep them separated.
Okay.
Right now they're together.
Okay. All right. Is this your first time getting eggs, or have you produced from them in the past?
I got them last year too.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And were similar incubation setup to your oxys with them?
No, I just like leave them on a shelf in the room, and they took like 45 days or so last year.
Okay. Were the babies any sort of difficulty to get going?
No, but again, they pipped. I like cut one early. The one I cut early like came out, but like didn't thrive. Again, leave it alone. But no, they eat pretty well, and I don't use live at all, so
Okay.
none of the stuff I have could be that hard.
Yeah. Fair enough.
You know.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure when I'll add them. My concern with them is just that my rooms get really hot in the summer. I mean, hot to a colubrid. Like I bet like the low points of the room, you're still going to get like during the peak of the day, probably 81, 82. So,
do you have like a concrete floor or anything in your room or no?
Yeah.
Or like, again, like they're also like you could do them outside of your room unless like, again.
Oh, shoot. I got a snake house.
I try not to kick anything out of my room or like upstairs because my wife is like so tolerant of. I have some like dart frogs and morning geckos up here, but
yeah,
my wife's so tolerant of my snake habit that I try to,
yeah, it's very
keep it where it belongs. And
yeah, that's very considerate. Yeah, I got, I guess, solidly 5 snake rooms, and then like snakes in the dining room.
Well, you have like an actual snake business, right? Like I called my thing a snake business for a while, and my wife said, "Well, you do know businesses make money, right?" And I was like, "All right, well,
damn, all right,
that's fair." I was like, "Okay, I guess it's not a business." She's like, "It is a hobby. It is not a business."
Because like I have like 2 types of rooms. I have like python specific, like kind of more geared towards pythons, where it'll be, in the 80s during like low 80s during the day, high 70s at night. And then my like montane rooms with my rattlesnakes and stuff like that, where, at night it'll be in the upper 60s. And then during the day, kind of low 70s at the peak of the year. And then, fully brumated for essentially 5 months with like a month ramp up, ramp down. So some of these colubrids kind of fall like right in between those 2 climates.
I do also like with my stuff, like I'm worried about getting hot. Again, this could be made up in my head and just make me feel good. I try to put like a big rock in there because like I feel like whenever I touch the rock, it feels cool. So I feel like, oh, if they're hot, they can go on this rock. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
Like under a basket. Again, maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. I mean, anything like that can certainly be helpful, or even like a deeper substrate layer if you don't have any heat on it. Like it kind of cools off at night and can like maintain some of that throughout the day. Yeah. So
I worked at Petco like many moons ago when I was like a kid, and we had to like keep rocks like a piece of slate in with the chinchillas or whatever so they could cool. So I don't know, that just stuck in my head. So
hey, I mean, some of the best tips and tricks that we can learn are from other sectors of animal husbandry. That's why I like to talk to people who do so many different things, because I've gotten stuff from amphibian keepers, croc keepers, lizard keepers that I'm like, I can apply that to my snakes right now, and it's been great. But if you were just kind of like in your very narrow bubble of Asian colubrids or Australian pythons or whatever, that outside knowledge doesn't always creep its way in.
Yeah, so. I did the Solomon Island tree boas. I got a grabbed female like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I was wishing, or like, I wish I like had the experience I had now, like with like colubrids and stuff, because those are not like a typical boa that just want to eat, No,
not at all. Yeah, that whole Candoya genus is one of the more strange and unique snake genuses out there.
That's like another one too, though. Like thrives in like ambient home temperature. Like the adult, like the wild caught adults are like bomb proof, and like they eat well. It's like the babies are so hard to establish. Like,
yeah, and they have absolutely massive litters of these tiny little worms.
Oh, I had 1/4-inch holes in the enclosure they were in, so they were all over my snake room.
Oh God!
And I didn't even know. I brought my like wife and kids down. I was like, "Oh, I want to show you these baby snakes," and we get down there and he's like, is that one of the baby snakes? I was like, no, they're in the box. He's like, oh, well, what's that? I was like, oh no, that's one of them. Uh-oh.
Oh shoot, yeah, that's definitely an interesting thing to walk into. I have yet to have that experience, and I hope I don't. That would be I guess as close as I've gotten would be like babies out in an incubator, but
Yeah.
no, that's got to be a fun one. I've heard, like, I've had friends who have had that happen with like litters of vipers and stuff like that.
Oh God.
Or like like that's got to be the most terrifying feeling in the world. Like, yeah, there's a bunch of little 3-inch little death worms around me and I'm not sure where they are, but they're out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't keep anything. I live in Massachusetts anyways. I can't keep any venomous anyways, but I couldn't do that with like my kids and stuff.
Sure. No, it's a hell of a commitment, that's for sure.
But some of those little tree vipers are pretty tempting. It's like, oh well, I can see the intrigue there.
Yeah, the lowest maintenance animals in the entire world. They're so, at least the stuff that I keep.
Yeah.
They're the easiest reptile I've ever had. Easier than ball pythons, easier than leopard geckos. Like, they're so easy to take care of, and they make great display animals too, which makes them so much fun. But yeah, then there's always that kind of, fear in the back of your head. But as long as you do what you need to keep yourself safe, and then also there's definitely levels to it as well of more dangerous and less dangerous species. But yeah, it's definitely not for everyone. So that's for damn sure.
And you are like, again, I've been an emergency room nurse for like a decade. Someone came in bit by some rare viper. No one in that hospital is going to know what the fuck to do with you. You're on your fucking own.
Yeah.
We're going to, you know what I mean? Like, people like don't take into account, like, they don't teach these doctors in medical school how to take care of a bite from some snake that's from across the world. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to get supportive care and that's it.
Yeah.
Until you get to some big tertiary care center that's also going to have to like be consulting people all over the country, and there's going to be huge delays in your care. So you better have what you need.
Yeah, no, that's part of the reason why I mostly have rattlesnakes, is because worst case scenario, that's what these hospitals know.
They're set up. Yeah, they're set up for that.
Yeah.
You're bit by some, African cobra. Well,
yeah,
rattlesnake anti-venom, and that's it, and some crossed fingers.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that's got to be a crazy life, man, to be an ER nurse. I give you a lot of props. I don't know, man. Sounds rough.
I'm like wicked ADD brain, so like it was the perfect fit for me.
Fair enough.
It was a good career choice.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, shoot, the world needs more. So that's awesome. Well, let's see what else. Oh yeah, that I know you said you only have one, but that Russian rat snake, man, I love Russian rat snakes. I've never kept them, but I really want to. I mean, we messaged back and forth a little bit about it, but I mean, what's it like keeping that snake? How has that been for you so far?
It's kind of like I can't have black rat snakes in Massachusetts because they're endangered here, or protected, but it's kind of like a black and yellow black rat snake. It's just like it's a placid, beautiful animal. And again, it's like another animal that, can handle the temperatures of like a normal household.
Sure.
It's a good, again, I get it. Like, I have tiger rat snakes, but that is probably not the best snake for random person to get. You know what I mean?
1,000%, yeah.
Like a lot of the stuff, like there's snakes for snake keepers, and then there's like pet snakes, and this is like good for everybody. You know what I mean? It's cool for a snake keeper, and like it would make a great pet snake. You know, it's tractable. It eats. It can tolerate big fluctuations in temperature.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I love snakes like that, and for that exact reason of like knowing that if I breed these, that I'm comfortable with that being someone's first pet or second pet snake or something like that. Yeah, I definitely. I have a few species like that, not as much as I feel like I'd like to have, but yeah, some of those Northern Asian rats, the Russian, Japanese, Korean rats, like they're really on my radar for that, to kind of fill that kind of role. So I think they're super cool. But yeah, hell yeah, man. Well, dude, I really appreciate all of your time tonight. This has been a really awesome conversation. For anybody who is interested in any of the projects, but maybe particularly the oxys, do you do any sort of like waiting lists or anything like that for babies, or is it kind of first come first serve when it comes time?
I don't like taking deposits. I don't like doing waiting lists just because I don't like to count my eggs before they hatch.
For sure.
The waiting list thing has never worked out for me. I did it the first few years, and no one that's on the waiting list wants it when it's time. So I post them first on my Instagram. I do have like people that have like bought them from me in the past get first dibs. You know what I mean? Because I want them to be whole before everyone else.
Sure.
Gets them, you know what I mean? Because I mean they're already in the project. I want them to be successful. So people within the project get first dibs usually. I already like, I have some people that want females, some people that want males, you know what I mean, that, have reached out to me and like, I know are actually serious. So like, again, like, I usually reach out to them first. And then when I have animals available, I'll post them on Instagram. I do bring them with me if I do like a local show or anything like that. But Instagram's the first step. And then if they don't go on Instagram after, a week or two, I might, open back up my MORPH market account. If you're in the US, Justin set up like a US Gonyosoma Alliance page. So it's like, people working with Gonyosoma. They can chit chat or whatever. I do post on there occasionally, but don't add me on Facebook unless you want to see pictures of my kids. That's like pictures of my wife and kids, and I try to keep my snake stuff separate if I can.
Cool. So Instagram is the place to go for snakes?
Yeah, Instagram's the place to go for snakes for sure.
And for everyone who's watching, where can they find you on Instagram?
JaredSnakeroom.
Okay, cool. And cool, man. Well, and then I guess, is that it's the same thing on MORPH Market when you have your account open?
Yeah. I think I closed it out. I don't have anything on there. But it will be the same when I'm out there.
Cool. Well, awesome, man. Once again, thank you so much for your time tonight, and congratulations on all your success with the oxys. I mean, 7 clutches in a year, that is crazy. So I'm very much excited to see all the progress, all the babies hatch out and everything. It's been fun to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well, cool, man. Well, I'm going to close out the show here, but once again, thank you so much for taking the time tonight.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the episode. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe here on the YouTube channel. Like I said at the top of the show, we are on the audio platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. For me, you can find me on Instagram at Scrub Shepherd, Stephen Kush on Facebook, and Stephen Kush or at Kush Reptile on YouTube as well. I drop a new video every single Friday on that channel. I'm also at Kush Reptile on MORPH Market. And of course, I am here every single Wednesday on the Trap Talk Reptile Network. With all that said, thank you guys for all being here tonight, tuning in. I'll catch you all back here next week for a new episode.